that little girl, that little boy inside you learns that there's things about it that is unacceptable, that is unlovable, that needs to be shunned. And for as long as there are parts of us that we deny, we will never feel like a complete whole being. We will always feel incomplete. And so we'll always look for things outside of us to try and complete us. And as we continue failing, because nothing outside of us will ever be able to complete us, we will just continue this perpetual cycle of suffering where nothing seems to do it. Nothing seems to give you that true fulfillment. There's this entire other dimension to reality that can be accessed when you integrate all the different parts of you and come back into wholeness. But if you continue to deny yourself, the aspects of yourself that you think are unaccepted by the culture or the family, and then you just go down this path of what's expected of you and what everyone does, the norm, the safe route, the comfort, that route of just following the herd, never really having your say or really stopping for a moment to consider what it is that you actually want. What is it that makes your heart skip a beat, that is so exciting but a little bit scary at the same time? What is it that would make you jump out of bed each morning if that was your life? If your life was in such a way where you could wake up every morning and do whatever you want to do, that you know is good for your soul, that helps your soul to grow, but that is fulfilling for your heart, that fills all the cells in your body with this sense of connectedness to all that is, this passion for life. If you could live your life in this way, what would you do? If there was no fear, nothing to stop you, what would you do? So you got to think that a lot of the time that reality is different to the reality that's expected of us. And we can choose the reality that's expected of us. There's no problem with it. But the unconsciousness I'm talking about is you will go through life always fulfilling your basic needs. So you'll always feel just safe enough and comfortable enough to feel happy. So things are okay and nothing will ever feel like they are wrong, but you're kind of still only accessing half of you, half of life. Whereas if you took this other road where you followed those urges, the callings, the things that light you up, the things that might create some controversy between you and your family or your culture if it's different to what's expected of you. It might create some confrontation and some uncomfortable conversations. But all in all, the growth you receive from these experiences and the opportunities you have to really discovering who you are it's why we're here. And it's so healing for that young version of you, because that young version of you is only ever wanting to live. When he or she first came into this world, he or she was like a free spirit, a soul that was like a blank canvas, and all it wanted to do was roam around and be free and experience life, to have different emotions. That's why when you see kids, they're so unfiltered and they're just kind of like so free that they don't know yet that things aren't necessarily acceptable. And it's only as they learn to be afraid of this or to not be like that they start to deny certain aspects of themselves. But for us to come back into wholeness, back into alignment with the true part of us, the part of us that came here to create experiences, to create passions and different emotions and things, to come back in alignment with that, we need to follow the callings of our heart and to have some of those uncomfortable conversations. For as long as I can remember, I have always had these callings for things that have, let's just say, not been accepted by the family and the culture, and it's been so frustrating, I'll be honest. Of course, I wouldn't change it for the world because I know that this is what my soul came here to experience and I've learned so much, but it's been hard. It's been kind of hard because I'm not like a rebel, if that makes sense. Like, I love my family and I love my culture, so I don't like just doing the wrong thing, and I don't like disobeying. Like, I don't like to be a rebel. I don't like to ever make someone feel bad, you know? But I've had these callings for things that are so strongly that I just can't deny. Like, I fell in love with a half English man, half Asian man. Like, you know, I know in my culture as a female, like, you don't do that. And there was just nothing inside me that could deny that love and to just conform, you know? And a lot of you girls might understand, but I was getting like people coming to the house asking for my hand in marriage, you know, and that would have been like the route, you know, the classic route that you kind of meant to go down. But I couldn't do it. Like, I had this other man that I was so in love with, and it was just so funny. He would like drop me home and I'd be like, oh, I gotta go and like be part of this greeting right now with this man that's asking for my hand. And we would just be like, damn, just like, let's get through this half an hour and I'll see you after, you know? That's just the beginning. There's so many things, but I've just always felt this call to live freely. You know, I was born and raised in a Western country in a really Australian suburb, and I always found it really tough juggling the two worlds, but I couldn't imagine not having my freedom. Anyway, I want you to know that I did it. Not just with that man, but in so many areas of my life, I was able to close the gap between the two worlds, the cultural world and the Western world, and I was able to bring it all into harmony. And I want you to know that, because I want you to know that you can do it too. My parents were strict. They were tough. My dad was a tough one. He was like the eldest brother in a family of like 6 brothers. You know how like the oldest brother is usually like, you know, pretty religious, pretty cultural, and pretty strict. He was the one that was always choosing who his sisters would marry. Like, he was pretty well respected. You know what I mean, right? And then to have me come along who was like, nah, you ain't telling me what to do. Like, it was hard for him. It was hard for both of us. But we did it. And our relationship became stronger than ever. And now I call him up and I tell him things that I would have never imagined I would have told him, purely so that he can help me and be the father that he always wanted to be, you know? At the end of the day, our parents are still parents. Yes, they have these really strict expectations and rules and things, but they still just want to be your mom and dad, and they want to be able to help you and love you. But if you keep hiding who you really are and conforming to what's expected of you, then neither of you guys have an opportunity to change and grow. You need to be the one to create these opportunities for change, to enable the space for people to think differently. We ended up getting engaged and it was amazing. Fast forward 4 years and I left him. Long story, but like I said, I feel like I've just always had to change patterns within the culture. Fast track, and I'm now living in a city by myself, and I never thought I would do this. Not only because it wasn't accepted, but because I was always scared. And I'm telling you that when you face your fears and you follow these urges, even if they are scary, the rewards are beyond what you can imagine, because not only do things outside of you have to fall into the place that it's supposed to be in, because you followed the truth, you followed your heart. So the things around you have to fall into the truth as well, you know, whatever that is. It might not be that your parents accept it or that everything turns out well, but whatever happens, at least it's still the truth, you know, because it's a result of you following the truth. So it has to be the truth. Does that make sense? It has to be in alignment because you're doing what's in alignment. You know what I mean? But anyway, not only did that happen, but the parts of me that I discovered, like, I want you to know that there is nothing more rewarding than integrating yourself, than honoring yourself and doing things that enables you to come closer and closer to who you are. These difficult experiences, these tough decisions, I'm just going to sum it up. You know what they do? They bring you home. This home, it's not somewhere else. It's realizing that everything you're looking for is inside you and you are one with it all. But the only way to come to that realization again is by following those nudges. And sometimes they lead you to things that can be pretty uncomfortable, pretty painful. Anyway, I digress. I do that a lot. I'm really sorry. If you need help standing back to your truth, breaking free from the matrix, strict cultural rules and expectations, you can work with me one-on-one. I'm a qualified therapist. I use conversational hypnosis. I work with the subconscious mind. And also I'm starting a community soon for like-minded girls that want to learn how to break free from these strict rules. We're going to do weekly group calls, and there's different modules and worksheets, and it's going to be so fun to guide each other through this process so that we don't have to do it alone. So stay tuned, and I hope I see you soon. Thanks for listening. Bye.